Joining us from Europe is Fox News terrorism Middle East expert, Professor Walid Phares. And what's your reaction to all of this, Professor?
Well, the Egyptian president is surprising everybody. They are playing what we in the Middle East would call a long Egyptian movie, in the sense that his regime released information that he will basically declare that he's going to quit and transfer power to his vice president, and then he come up with this different view. He's trying to test the demonstrators. He's trying to see if, with time, week after week, they will actually go home, and he's trying to tell his other allies in the region, the Saudis or others, that he's not going to quit, and these demonstrations are going to be basically disbanded. I'm not sure that that is what's going to happen, because the demonstrators know very well that if they disband and the Mubarak administration comes back at them, it would be very tough. So we are watching a long, protracted struggle between the demonstrators and the Mubarak regime.
All right. At this point, though, the people we've been talking to have been talking about the military is kind of behind the scenes orchestrating all of this, and that they were hoping that that the demonstrators would go home. But is the military getting surprised by Mubarak as well?
No, I think that the military knows what Mubarak is doing. The military is giving advice to Mubarak. If you put yourself in the shoes of the military, all what they want to see is no orders should come to them to go against the civilians. On the other hand, they want to continue to see the funding coming from the United States. And thirdly, the military are also interested in making sure that the Muslim Brotherhood are not going to infiltrate the country while this is happening. So this engineering leaves the military with a choice, that is, to allow Mubarak to stay till September. They know he's leaving after that. But at the same time, they would like to see elections whereby a government would come and would actually ensure the continuity of Egypt's relationship with the United States and the rest of the international community. Would
those elections be real elections, or would they be some sort of guided, manipulated election where they have a couple weeks of campaigning and the chosen candidate is elected?
It's going to be both. It's going to be, on the one hand, in terms of intention, the actual demonstrators, 75% of whom are really civil society, but 25% or so are Muslim Brotherhood, who are well organized, funded from the outside, supported by Arab media such as Al Jazeera and rest. So those elections are going to reflect the state of who's most ready inside the arena in Egypt. That's why we may not have a real representation of what's happening, but you're going to have new forces that would come to parliament, including the Muslim Brotherhood and including the protesters.
All right. But in this country, those candidates that are prepared, are organized, are funded, and have the money to go out and buy the media commercials and so forth and so on, and that get the support of the media, are the ones who win. So what you're telling me is maybe the Muslim Brotherhood could get themselves a win if they do hold elections.
In any way or shape, the brothers are not going to get anything close to 51%. So what they will get is their own body, that is 10 to 12%, plus double, let's say 24, 25%. They will try to get some allies up to, I'm just giving numbers here, 30%. So they would always need a coalition. They would always need other political parties. And those small political parties may well, like in Italian politics, or as a matter of fact, Israeli politics, could determine the nature of the new government. But I'm not concerned about the result of the election. What concerns me would be the Muslim Brotherhood infiltration of ministries, of actual departments, such as if they are given the Ministry of Education. Now that's way more dangerous than having more seats in the parliament, because they would do what the Taliban have done, the schools, the madrasas, and that would be a long-term infiltration of Egyptian society.
Earlier today, James Clapper, the U.S. National Intelligence Chief, downplayed the Muslim Brotherhood as if they were just a secular group. What's your reaction to his comments about the fact they're just a secular group and nobody to really worry about?
Look, this is not downplaying. This is a sheer academic mistake. I mean, I was very surprised. I immediately reacted on national TV by saying that every political scientist, Middle Eastern expert, the Muslim Brotherhood themselves, and observers in the Middle East, everybody knows that the Muslim Brotherhood are an Islamist, fundamentalist organization. Their goal and aim is basically to establish an Islamic state, therefore a religious state, and to implement Sharia. This is something that nobody fights about in the Middle East. I am very surprised, actually even disappointed, that a very high-ranking official in the intelligence community would be, either given by his advisor such an information or make that statement in Congress. And I have, I would want to review the actual wording, but whatever that wording is, the Muslim Brotherhood are not a coalition of secular forces.
You want me to play it for you? We can play it for you right now. This is cut 2, John. This is Clapper testifying before Congress earlier.
The term Muslim Brotherhood is an umbrella term for a variety of movements.
Right.
In the case of Egypt, a very heterogeneous group, largely secular, which has eschewed violence and has decried al-Qaeda as a perversion of Islam.
Right.
They have pursued social ends, betterment of the political order in Egypt, et cetera.
It's not a violent side I'm interested in. I'm interested in their nonviolent side, which I was talking about.
And in other countries, there are also chapters or franchises of the Muslim Brotherhood, but there is no overarching agenda, particularly in pursuit of violence, at least internationally.
All right. So there are his words.
Well, thank you for doing this, because I can tell you one thing now. Every single part of that statement is wrong, except the or the duh or something. I mean, the Muslim Brotherhood basically called for Sharia law. They are not a loose cooperation of organizations that are extremely centralized. And their international network that he says basically has franchises, is connected, do coordinate, and have a unified ideology. I think this is very odd that this statement was made. And I'm sure that Congress, and I hope that the administration, the president, would call him on this issue. This is an academic, flagrant mistake.
Well, it worries me because this is also the same man who was caught without knowing about the terrorism arrest in London when Diane Sawyer asked him about it. And she wasn't trying to do a gotcha. She just said about the terrorism arrest, and he did not know what she was talking about.
Many are talking about this. I am even worried for other things. I'm worried about the trend, because we heard other officials over the past 2 years, some of whom have said, we are going to engage with the moderate branch of Hezbollah. Where is the moderate branch of Hezbollah? We're trying to find the leaders. Any statement? We couldn't. Then you have a whole trend for 6 to 7 months talking about we're going to be engaging with the moderate Taliban. There is no such thing as moderate Taliban. So I am not sure that this is a isolated statement. I think this is a trend which is trying to tell the American public that we're going to be talking with the jihadists eventually.
Well, that is worrisome very much. And so at this point, to Egypt, the crowds it's late at night, but they are revved up over there. How long will it take to sort this out? Do you believe that Mubarak will be able to hang on for about 8 months?
I don't know about the 8 months. What I know is that he has shown enough determination, I would say even stubbornness, that he's going to continue to make those statements and saying, I'm transferring a little bit, one more inch. But eventually, in civil society in Egypt, you're going to see a much wider coalition that would go against him. My concern here is that outside this I don't say cinema, but outside this equation, some extremists are going to come and do some dramatic act, either against the demonstrators or against some important official in Egypt, and then what we see, demonstrators versus the president, will turn into chaos. That would be my concern.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Professor Walid Phares, thank you so much for your expertise.
Thank you for having me.
You bet, very much. Professor, American scholar, professor, commentator, global terrorism, Middle Eastern affairs, testified to Congress, European Union, Parliament, you name it, an expert on that part of the world.